Hello everyone, welcome to AITech1.com. My name is Sumit and here I'm with my new video in Salesforce integration. So the topic for today's video is that we will be going to integrate Salesforce with OpenweatherMap. I've already done this video, this topic earlier, but previously I did this topic by using Apex coding. Today, I'm going to show you that how can we perform an integration between Salesforce and OpenweatherMap API by using HTTP callouts using flows. So as you know that flows is growing pretty fast, and in this flow, they have recently they have updated one HTTP callout functionality. So we will be going to see that how do we use the HTTP callout functionality in order to perform the integration. So before I move ahead, don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel. You can press the bell icon also in order to get the updates on the videos, the new topics, new videos I'm going to upload. And you can post your comments also in comment box. The link to the previous topic where I integrate Salesforce with OpenweatherMap API using Apex, I'll drop the link in the comment box. No, in order to perform this integration, we require two things. The first we required is a Salesforce developers account, and the second we required an OpenweatherMap API login. So let me show you both the things. So what I have done, I've successfully logged in. Yeah. So as you can see, I've successfully logged in into OpenweatherMap API. And as you can see, I have logged in as using my using email ID, using credentials. So I have successfully registered in OpenweatherMap API. That's an open API which can be used for integration purpose. And in this OpenweatherMap API, you can navigate to API documentations, and we can see the details like examples of the API call. So this is the API call. This is the URL which can be used for integration. So basically, we'll be going to call this API from Salesforce or from external application. Now, in order to test whether this API really works or not, what I will be doing is I am using a Postman tool in order to test it. And in this Postman, as you can see, I have pasted this URL. So what I did, I copy paste this URL from the OpenweatherMap.org and I pasted in I just pasted here in a Postman. So in Postman, I just created one get. I just use the get method and I just paste this URL over here. Let me refresh that. And as you can see, here we required few of the details. We will be requiring this will be the city name, and here we require the API ID, API key. So how do we retrieve the API key? That I will tell you now. So in order to retrieve the API key, what you have to do, once you sign in and logged in successfully into OpenweatherMap, you have to click here and select My API Keys. It will redirect you to the API key URL. And here, if you have already registered an API key, that's fine. If not, you can give a name and create a new or generate a new API key. And once the API key gets generated, you have to copy paste. You have to use that API key. You will be using this API key. So now I'm going to post this URL here. So let's see, I copy this URL and paste it. Now, instead of this city, let me change the city. Instead of city from London, I'll just say, let's say Mumbai. And the API key, I need to replace the API key. So API key is this one. This is my API key. I copy paste my API key here. And one more. Okay, now when I send a request, let me make a request here. When I make a request, as you can see, the status is 200 OK. That means the request has been, the request is approved by the OpenweatherMap, and it also responds the output. It also responds the result. And as you can see, in this, we used to have a section called main section. And in this main block, we can see the temperature, fields like temperature min, temperature max, pressure. Now, you might be wondering why it is showing 302, 309, temperature minimum, temperature maximum. because we need, so within this API call, okay, whenever you used to make the API call, we used to have the units, and there's a unit, so we have to use a parameter called unit. So we have a unit called standard metric imperial. So I will be going to use metric unit. So I'll just write, and units is equal to matrix. Units is equal to matrix. And now when I send a request, now when I make a request again, this time you can see the temperature is in centigrade here. 28 degrees, maximum 28.999, minimum 28.94, humidity is 89%. So like this way, we successfully tested this. We successfully tested the API call from Postman to OpenweatherMap. Now I will show you that how are we going to make this API call or call this API from Salesforce using flows. Now, in order to do this, I've made couple of changes, or you can say I did couple of customization in Salesforce account. And what I've done here, the very first thing I did here is I basically I'm using an account object. This let me show the output how it is going to look like. So the requirement here is that whenever we create a new account, I would like to display the temperature like this. We can reduce the number of digits. Right now, this is in 4 digits. We can reduce this to 2 digits after decimal. That's up to us. So what I've done, these fields does not exist in the account object by default. So I just added these 3 custom fields. So the field name will be, let me show you the fields and we'll do some customizations also. So the fields I'm going to register here is, so I'm going to create 3 fields: temperature maximum, temperature minimum, and fields like. So fields and relationship. So I added 3 custom fields. Fields like, yeah, as you can see, it's a number. So let me edit this. And instead of 4 digits after decimal, let me change that to 2 digits after decimal. Then the temp maximum and temp minimum. This is temp maximum, temp minimum. I'll just edit this and I'll just replace there as well. 2 and temp minimum. I'm going to edit this. So I just set the number 2 is to 2, length is 2 and decimal place is 2 digits after decimal. So what I did, I just added 3 fields. Now, if you would like to store other information, like if you would like to store pressure or humidity and the actual temperature, you can add as many as fields you want. You can add that number of fields. Now you see it is showing in 34.69, 2 digits after decimal as required. Okay, so that's a customization I have done. Now let's see the actual implementation. And in order to perform the actual implementation, there are few customizations we need to do. So the very first thing I have to do is I have to create a named credential. So I have to create a named credential here. So that is the first step. That is the first thing I'm going to do, the name credential. And I just create a name credential here, OpenweatherMap, and I just pass the URL. So how I did that, how to create a name credential. As you can see, the type will be a legacy. I click here and select new legacy. And then I just specify the credential name and the URL. And then also I'm going to check this, allow merge fields in HTTP headers and allow merge fields in HTTP body. Let me show you the one which I have created, the details of the name credentials which I have created. So as you can see here, the name credential label is OpenweatherMap. Name is OpenweatherMap. URL. Now the URL here is, I pasted URL https API openweathermap.org, and you can copy this URL from here only, like this https api.openweathermap.org. So I added that URL. I pasted that URL, and then I check these 2 options. So the first step is we have to create a named credentials, and this named credential will be going to use within the flow while calling the HTTP callouts or while making the HTTP callout. So how do we create this callout? Let me show you. In order to do this, click on new flow. The steps are, you have to click on new flow. You have to click on new flow, and the requirement is that whenever we create a new record, we would like to auto generate or auto display the details, the temperature maximum and the temperature minimum. So I click on record triggered flow, click on create, and the object here will be account object. And we would like to trigger this whenever the record is created. Condition, just wanted to make sure that this automation is going to trigger, or this HTTP callout will work, or this flow will only work if the shipping address will be there. If there will be no shipping address, this will not be going to work. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that user enter the shipping address, then only will proceed further. So I'm going to add a condition that if the shipping city does not equals to blank, it should not be an empty string, and the basically optimize the flow for after the record is saved, and I just wanted to run it asynchronously part to external system. So I just check this option, click on done. Now, when we click on done, you can see the process is about to begin, but now it's time to configure the HTTP callout action. So in order to do that, the steps are click on plus, and here you have to look for action. And within action, you will see a new option has been added here that is called HTTP callout. We will be using this option, create HTTP callout. This option I will be going to do. So I click on create HTTP callout. Then what we need to do, we need to provide the name and we need to add the name credential. So in order to do this, I'm going to add a name. So let's suppose I'll this name as, let's say, test HTTP callout, test HTTP callout API, and you can add a description if it is needed. We have to specify the name credentials which we created in the previous step. So that's the name credentials. It's using this URL. Click on next. Here we have to specify the label. So I can just say HTTP. I'll just write here test HTTP callout API. HTTP callout API. Method, we will be going to make a get request. So as you can see here also, I made a get request. So I select get method. The complete path. Complete path means we have to specify the complete path. So my complete path is /data/2.5/weather, and then we'll be passing the parameters. So therefore, from here, I pass this. See, we have a forecast or we have a weather. So I'm going with the weather. So I just copy this weather and paste it here as a URL path. Now you can go for the forecast also. That's a daily forecast and that's a current weather. So if you want to track the current weather, you can go for this. And if you you can make two API calls, one for the current weather and one for the forecast. So both will work. Then we have to add the parameters. So I click on add key, and as you can see, we'll be passing three parameters. First is a queue, second is app ID, and third is units. So queue, set it required and the data type as a string. Then app ID, make it required and data type as a string. And the third will be units. Third will be units, make it required and data type will be as a string. So these are the three parameters we are going to pass. So as you can see, this query takes three parameters. And we need to provide a sample response. To finish the configuration, provide a sample API response body. So I click on new and I'm going to provide a sample response. So what you have to do is, like when we tested this call from the postman, we get this output. So I'll directly copy this output and paste it here. This is just for the reference. You can see it works perfectly fine. And click on, and you can see here we'll be having the main, the cloud, this thing, and in main we have the temperature, temp minimum, humidity, pressure, feels like, and temp max. And click on done. And finally, click on save. And now it's time to save this. So I just write here HTTP call out weather API. Now here we have to provide the API IDs. Here we have to provide the input values for the selected actions. So API ID. So this is my app ID. I copy this app ID and paste it here. You can add all these details in a notepad and use here. Q will be, what is the Q? Q will be the city name. So city will be the shipping. So I just write here. I just select record account and shipping city. So I need to pass shipping city, and the unit will be unit I pass here as a metric. So I can copy this metric. I can copy this metric and pass metric. Right? And finally, click on done. So our callout is ready, but I just wanted to add through some conditions also. Like if, let's suppose, if we did not get any response, or if the API key is blank, or if any error occurs, so what happened? We would like to throw the proper messaging. Else, we just wanted to update the account record. So therefore, I'm going to add a decision block. As you can see, I just added decision block. Validate API call, and if it is success, then you know that here you can see the response is 200. 200 means the response is success. So I'll just check here that if the output weather map API call response code is equal to 200, that means it is success. That means it is, this will be success. Okay, so that's a success code. Let's suppose if invalid API key is there. So I just add a new outcome and I just write here invalid API key, and I just add here that if the response code is equals to, if the response code is equals to 401. If the response code is equal to 401, that means it's an invalid API key. And I'm going to add one more response that if the planned limit exceeded. So many times what happens that we will be getting the response and or maybe the city not found. So there is like we used to have a response for that also. Let's say city not found, and if the response code is equals to 404, that means the city we are looking for, that city not found. Okay, and there might be, okay, because we'll be using the OpenweatherMap trial version. So let's suppose I just write plan limit exceeded. So if the response code is equals to, if the response code is equals to 429, if the response code is equal to 429, that means the plan limit will be exceeded. And when I click on done, we got these conditions. So if any of these issue occur, I just wanted to add display a message. So we can add we can display a message, or we can assign some task. Or else, if it is success, I just wanted to update the record. So I click here and update record. So basically, I want to update the account, and no conditions, nothing. I just want to map the field. So fields like, and temp maximum, and temp minimum. And the fields like will be, now here is an interesting thing. Fields like will be output call, this 2x, and here we have the main. If you remember, we copy paste the response, and from we copy paste the sample response. So it will be getting the details from there, the variables, fields, main, and from here I add field like. I map the field like. This is temperature maximum. Select this 2x main and temperature maximum, and temperature minimum, this 2x temperature minimum. main and temperature. So like this way, we did the mapping. Click on done. We have to save this, right? We have to save this, and then once we save this, we will be going to run this. So I just write HTTP call out. I'm going to save this as a HTTP call out flow. HTTP call out flow, and I'm going to save this. As you can see, once I save this flow, what I've done, I activated this flow. This HTTP call out flow, I activated it. It's in activation mode. And now I'm going to test it. So in order to test whether this flow will be working fine or not, or whether the flow can make HTTP call out request or not, in order to do that, I'm going to create a new account. So I click on new button and I'm going to add a new account. So for that, I just write here AI Tech 1 test account. These details are not really needed, so we can skip these details. So the important detail here required is the shipping city, and as you can see, the temperature maximum, temperature minimum, and feel like these fields are blank right now. And I need to add the shipping city. So let's suppose I mention the shipping city as New Delhi. Okay, New Delhi, and or let me do one thing. Let me make it as, let's say, Mumbai, and it is not needed because we'll be targeting only shipping city right now. And finally, I click on save. Now, when I click on save, the record gets created successfully. And let's go and check the details. See, as you can see, as the record gets saved, I will be getting the temperature maximum, temperature minimum, and the feel like temperature. This is 36.99 degrees. Like this way, we can successfully make a HTTP call out by using flow. So in one of the previous example, as I mentioned that we did this activity by using Visualforce and Apex classes, but this time we did this by using flow. So that's all in this video. That's all for the day. If you like this content, don't forget to subscribe or like our channel. You can like this video, you can post your comment in comment box. And if you will be looking for a customized training on Salesforce integration, you can reach out to us on www.aitech1.com. You can drop an email on info@aitech1.com, or you can connect to us on the WhatsApp number, the number mentioned on your screen. That's all for the day. Keep working, keep learning. Have a nice day. Bye, everyone.